episode of Data Never Lie video podcast, a place where we talk about data, analytics, and much more, like marketing and artificial intelligence. Today, I'm honored and pleased to have with us the man I consider the godfather of the data visualization. And
Too much.
his name is Mehdi Oudjida. So welcome to our podcast, Mehdi, and it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about this episode. I listened to the previous episode and enjoyed it. So happy to participate for this time.
Thank you so much. Quick about yourself. Mehdi is a freelance consultant in digital analytics for 14 years in Lyon, France. He's part of the Analytics Ninja team, and he worked for as a digital project leader for 3 companies. He writes great posts on LookerStudio. And you can find him on his blog that is how with LookerStudio.com. And Mehdi, if you want to talk more about yourself for the one that you don't know you.
No, the intro is perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So let's start with the question or the chat that we could between. First of all, is the one that I ask everyone is in the podcast. How is the state of the analytics world today for you?
Boom. A big question, but I think, we need to be probably quite optimistic about that. Because at the same time, we've got always the same basics of our work. We need basically to be data informed, to go to explore data, to help our clients or our stakeholders to make good decisions. So this is for 1 or 2 decades like that. But maybe at the same thing, these last years were more complicated because we are feeling that things are faster than before and faster at the same time for really different fields, faster for privacy, faster for technology, faster for methodology also, because we need to be also creative on how we can use efficiently data with generative AI, with all the new way to do marketing. I think about MMM and so on and so on. So things are really more complex, maybe because of that. And maybe I like to make some parallel with life. And for digital analytics, like for a lot of other stuffs these last years, we are feeling that we are less. It's more complicated to predict what's gonna be the future. I heard Steen talking about the fact that maybe we need to get faster horses when it's time to switch on something different. And we are feeling this kind of situation where we're gonna probably make some shifts that are not predictable as before.
Okay. It's something that I believe in because it's you use a keyword that is faster than ever at the moment, because you are going very fast. I see in analytics, in marketing, and as you said, in real world, like think about, for example, Tesla auto or something like that is something that
Right.
we're growing very fast, and the technology inside certain type of car, again Tesla, because for me it's not a car, it's a smartphone because
It's true, and the energy is also a good analogy. The fact that we need to buy our energy from other countries, we need to think different, we need to take care of ecology, and it's the same kind of thing inside analytics and inside our world, professional world.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. And regarding our work, but specifically yours, you are, I gotta say, a LookerStudio wizard, because for me, you
Thank
are
you.
my point of reference related to how we can create something with LookerStudio and data visualization in general. But there is, for me, a lot of misunderstanding. So, could you please tell us the difference between dashboard or dashboarding, data visualization, and data storytelling? Because if you ask anyone, they said, for me, it's the same thing. But I think it's something different between these three terms.
So data dashboarding,
Yeah,
data visualization,
yeah,
and storytelling, data storytelling.
yeah, correct.
Let's start with the data visualization because it's basically the discipline. So it's what you're gonna do under a kind of roof of this discipline. So data visualization, it's at the same time a discipline and also the results, because when you work correctly about your data and the message you need to provide to your stakeholder, to your team, and so on, you're gonna provide data visualization. And data visualization could be really simple or very complicated. Data visualization, it's just sometimes a counter, it's just a metric. If you remember the 1 or 2 decades ago when the webmasters was putting the number of page views or the number of visits in the footer of websites, it's a kind of visualization, very simple, quite vanity metric, but it's a visualization. If we think to time series, showing us how the trends, I don't know, about the sales of vinyl is growing because people like vinyl, it's a data visualization. If we take a pie chart, it's a data visualization, just watching values and the share of each value. And we can also think about more complicated data visualization in a movie like The Matrix, one of my favorite movie. The Matrix, when you see the kind of matrix raining codes in green, it's like raw data. It's a kind of data visualization. It's raw data, complicated to read. There's only Neo able to read that, but it's also data visualization. So this is what we can describe as how we, the way we decide to represent data, our data visualization. And after that, you've got the data storytelling. So the data storytelling is how you decide to design, how do you decide to create a flow helping you to get narratives, to get argumentations, and sometimes to define a way to explore data. Because in my opinion, you've got the data visualization, storytelling. The easier thing is to be in the meeting, to decide to expose an analysis and to choose what you need to show, which step, which information to explain the result. But when you create a dashboard, when you create an interactive report, it's also storytelling because you choose the good data for the good purpose. You choose to put some interactivity because you know what the reader gonna look for with this report, with this dashboard. So it's also a way to create a story, so to work around the data storytelling. And if we take the analogy of the matrix, you need to choose. So if you need to choose, I don't know if you remember at the beginning of the movie, Morpheus saved Neo from the matrix. They start to take care of him, And when he decided to explain him what is the matrix, he load a kind of simulation,
Yeah.
and the simulation is white. There's nothing. There's only 2 chairs and 1 TV, and
Yeah.
Neo and Morpheus. And you start to explain him how was the world before the matrix, what decide the machines to do to the human beings, and so on. So he clean everything and he shows and he creates a story. So it's also a storytelling. And the third one, dashboards, it's just a kind of report. A report that you decide to use to supervise your activity, to get a kind of cockpit, to select very few metrics, very few dimensions to display, to get you the first insight that gonna help you to switch on actions or not actions. Everything is fine and you are just following the plan, you are just monitoring your performance. It's what the dashboards provide. But you talk about a watch. A watch, it's the best dashboards when you are in the street, just to get the hour, the dates, and maybe some elements about your health and so on. So a watch is the dashboard of life.
I like the I gotta say the analogy that you made with the metrics and the real life. It's very clear now for us and for our listener what the difference between the terms, because sometimes we usually maybe use data visualization for everything.
Yeah.
Maybe a dashboard or view a report in GA4 or something like that. So everything is marked as data visualization and not dashboard or data storytelling. And
because of that, I like to create some categories of reports. I like to talk about dashboards, about interactive reports, and about what we can qualify as a tool, because sometimes people need so much things, so much filters, displaying only tables just to be able to explore everything. And at this step, for me, it's no more an interactive reports. It's becoming something that looks like an Excel or a tool. So we need, each time we talk about the stakeholders and what they need to get as a report, we need to define in which category is it the report. Is it a dashboard? Is it sorry, an interactive report, or is it a tool? And sometimes you can, because it's easier, you can put on LookerStudio some pages dashboarding oriented and some other pages with more information, just to be able to jump quickly on it, more like an interactive report.
Great. Is something the interactive reports sometimes there is a misleading, I think, terms that is mean I can define it like data mining, but it's not data mining, reporting or something like that.
Yeah, true.
There is a lot of misleading information related to certain type of terms that we use in marketing analytics and so on. And again, related to LookerStudio, do you have any suggestions to share with our listeners, some best practices or something to be aware of?
Just related to our discussion, maybe to try to be specific, because I see a lot of reports that look like the same, based sometimes on templates, and not really customized regarding the business goals of the team, regarding which information are very specific and so on. So LookerStudio is a kind of PowerPoint of data. You can do what you want to do. You can remove a dimension if it's not relevant for you. You can highlight, you can compare, you can. So there are a lot of features, and basically it's drag and drop and WYSIWYG tool. So what you are creating is what you get as a final result. And if you've got specific information to display for your readers, it's really easy to adapt your templates and create something really specific. If for the same information, it's relevant to use 3, 4, 5 chart types, very different, because you need to get the trends, you need to get the variation, you need also to drill down on several subset of data, and so on and so on. Do it. Sometimes it's better to display the same thing differently on the page, that versus offering interactivity to get the same thing. The eye is scanning the page, and sometimes you don't need to click to get the information. Just adapt, replicate, change, and create also a story about that, to see if my trend is okay, if my SEO, my ACM is okay, and so on and so on. And create a kind of simple page, easy to scan for your reader. So be specific.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that we must be specific in each field that we are going to set up something. And maybe you know why I ask you some suggestions, because when we talk about LookerStudio and GA4, there is there is, I can say, a lot of negative feelings and comments. What do you think about it? Because you are one of the master of LookerStudio, and I read a lot of posts related to GA4, but I want to hear from you what you think about this.
First, I agree with you. It's complicated. It's so much complicated that today most of my projects are not using the native connector of GA4, because it's really complicated to get the results. And it's a kind of mix of limitation, constraint, complications in the same bowl. And it was already complicated just talking about GA4, and you put in the same bowl also the complication of a connector and a LookerStudio, and it's even more complicated because you need to take care of the data model, because GA4, it's quite complicated data model. For the same information, you've got several dimensions, because it's not the same scope. You've got dimension using the name that use GA universal, but it's not the same thing. If you use medium, you need to take care to use session medium. So the model of GA4, when you are outside of GA4, it's really complicated. And when you are inside GA4, it's complicated, because if you use the exploration and try to make some combination of dimension and matrix, sorry, but it's really not easy for the users. So you put that on the LookerStudio side. Then you've got the APIs. The APIs is not directly synchronized to the features of GA4. You've got two internal APIs serving the exploration and serving the standard reports and the custom reports. People don't understand that LookerStudio is using the same API that the reports and not the exploration. They start to make some comparison about things that are not comparable, because technically behind the scenes it's not the same thing. And you've got the development of the connector that gets its own lag, because it's not directly synchronized to the release of the data API, to the release of GA4. And you've got users trying to deal with that, creating reports directly connected to GA4. And and you've got also the lag of data, because in GA4, if you want to follow the launching of your campaign the day of the beginning of the campaign, it's not possible.
I know.
Sorry. With LookerStudio or without LookerStudio, it's not possible. So yeah, it's complicated.
I know, because it's very complicated. Even if you search in the net, for example, there is you can do with the native collector for GA4, but if you dig some more, you can see that is not possible to do what you did with Universal Analytics or something like that. So related to that, do you think there is a real alternative to LookerStudio when we talk about connection with or without GA4?
Regarding our discussions, the natural next question is there an alternative of GA4? Not LookerStudio, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
right. But basically, to talk about LookerStudio, I would say no, because of the positioning of the tool. Because there are other tools, but they are not really on the same positioning than LookerStudio. We can talk about the BI tool like Power BI or Tableau software. There are BI tool and not just data visualization tool. So it's tool more sophisticated, more complicated, needs some good training to use it. And the difference with LookerStudio, the purpose of LookerStudio is just to visualize data. It's not to prepare it. It's not to spread it. It's just to get the right charts, to get some features to prepare, to change data, to create calculated fields and so on. But it's just for the visualization. It's not something that's gonna clean your data or prepare it or create data preparation like proposed the BI tool. So it's really a kind of self-services, easy to use. So this point is quite different regarding the other tools. The other thing is the fact that it's part of a suite of BI and visualization tool, because we've got LookerStudio. If you need more governance, more features for monitoring, you've got LookerStudio Pro against $9 by user and by month. And then because of Looker, you've got also Looker BI, so it's the real BI tool proposed by Google. So you've got also a kind of ecosystem. In addition to all things proposed by Google, you've got also the Google Cloud BI team working on LookerStudio. So this point is also important. It's important also because it has a strong affinity with BigQuery. So when we was talking about GA4 in most of my project, when there is GA4, sorry, there's also BigQuery to treat data and to give it correctly to LookerStudio. And if there are a kind of alternative of LookerStudio, it's probably the analytics suite itself. It means that if you can do without several sources, maybe sometimes it's better to use the interface of dashboards of Piwik Pro or the workspace of Adobe Analytics, or the new feature of Piano Analytics launching an engine of data visualization called also Workspaces. So it's probably the more natural alternative of LookerStudio. The other one, but it's more old style, it's to use spreadsheets.
Okay.
Loading your data in Excel, like 1 decade ago, or in Google Sheets, using a data loader for that, recreating data sets, small data sets, and so displaying with the chart types available on the spreadsheets.
Yeah.
So, but not really alternatives.
Okay. I hope we are going to to end the use to spreadsheet, whatever, Excels or Google spreadsheet as database or something like that, because it's something worse than ever. So
Completely agree.
we can lose it and take part to other stuff. And related to GA4 that you mentioned and BigQuery, there is a big move from Google when there was the launch of GA4, and I want to know what's your thought about the free BigQuery for all GA4 user. Is something good for you? Is something that could create a lot of noise, or what do you think about?
No, I think good. I've got a really good experience on that. When I started to use BigQuery, it's not because of GA4 export and the lack of features on GA4. It was more because of the affinity with the LookerStudio, because since the beginning, the native implementation of BigQuery inside LookerStudio is really good, is really fast. And so I decided to start to propose to my client to put the data in BigQuery to create prepared tables regarding what we need to display on LookerStudio. And then when GA4 announced the fact that the BigQuery export is going to be free, with some trade-offs, but free for most of the users of GA4, is what's really good news. And it's a good news because I think a lot of people started to use BigQuery because of that. So discovering what is a data warehouse, discovering that we can clean, update, choose how data after collection can be perfectly fitting the needs of the business, and start working about this data. So it's a kind of opportunity. It's also a way to jump in data engineering, because 10 years ago, most of us was between the tracking and the reporting, but nothing between the two separate technology things. And now we've got data engineering that is more and more important and give us more and more options about how to take care of data. And it's also a way to learn SQL. SQL exists, I don't know, 30 years maybe now, or 40 years, I don't know. It's really permanent, it's long term. It's exactly the opposite of GA4. It's not moving, it's not changing every time. It's something that you can invest in, because you're gonna use it for sure, maybe now, maybe in 10 years, but you're gonna use it. And if you start to work with BigQuery, of course you're gonna use it. So it's a way to learn SQL, so it's really important.
Yeah. Do you think that the one-man show, as I call, era is ended? And for one-man show, I said people that can perform analytics, SEO, SEA, and other stuff like that is ended, and we need more. I'm gonna say more actor related to data scientists, data engineering, data architect, and something like that.
I think we need to choose, because At the beginning, it was quite easy to do everything. And now we need to keep an overview of everything, but be experts on some disciplines, some activities of data, because it's become too much to be able to know perfectly the server side, to know perfectly the rules of regulation following the countries, to know everything about data form or DBT, to follow the nice updates every week of GA4, and so on and so on. So we need to choose. Maybe we need to choose regarding a stack, just working on Google. And even when you make this kind of choice, it's really hard to know everything. So keeping an overview of what is possible today to get the big picture, but be specialized probably on 2, 3, maximum 4 disciplines.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. And you said that SQL is here to stay and for the future, maybe. And next question is, how do you think the analytics world will change or evolve in the next future?
I think we talk about it, about the fact that we need to be expert on something and less a kind of multidisciplinary digital analytics guy. We take some good practices from people working directly in data. For me, there are digital analytics and data, and we've got the opportunity to be data analysts. So if we choose to be data analysts and maybe not just practitioners, generalists, it's a good fit. So this kind of separation of work gonna be probably more and more developed in the future. Of course, with all things we are living today around IA, we're gonna get more and more tools with IA directly inside, or with IA like external companion helping us to do very specific tasks. So it means that we're gonna probably will go faster to do the same tasks, but at the same time, if we listen what I'm saying, I'm doing exactly what Steam described. We're gonna be just faster horses. You see, IA gonna help us to be faster horses. So it's probably not the future. So I don't know. I don't know.
Steve nailed the point every time. So
Yeah. No, it's a really the story with Ford is really a good point.
perfect. And so the most important question, where we can find or hear from you in the net?
The easy way is LinkedIn. Mehdi Oudjida at LinkedIn. It's the easy way. Then I've got also on my blog post, if you are not really active on the social networks, you can subscribe to the newsletter, and I send every month the last article, the last stuff I've made on my extension, my Chrome extension for LookerStudio. Sometimes I share some just for fun reports. So it's inside also this newsletter. So newsletter subscription or LinkedIn if you are quite active on social networks.
Perfect. I will put every type of link in the description. And guys, take time to subscribe to Mehdi newsletter, because it's plenty of gold, and it could be solved your problem that in LookerStudio could be a pain point for you. I don't want to use other terms.
Thank you a lot.
And so now we have everything in place related to LookerStudio. It was a pleasure to have you, Mehdi. And it's a great conversation with you. Every time we can chat and talk about data visualization, LookerStudio, everything. And for you guys, stay tuned for another episode of Data Never Lie, the podcast where we can talk about analytics, marketing, and so on. Thank you, Mehdi.
Thank you. See you. Bye.